Okay, time for a Libya update and a relevant rant on Syria. First off, I have here a printout from Tuesday's New York Times. A piece called Surprise, Finish the Job by James M. Dubik. Mr. Dubik is a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General who oversaw the training of Iraqi troops and is now a senior fellow, an academic term, not merely a distinguished and wise elder, at the Institute for the Study of War, dedicated to advising civilian leaders on military issues. I'll avoid the bad jokes and get to the main irony in Dubik's op-ed piece, of which I quote. Don't want that. If Colonel Gaddafi fails, the United States and NATO will have a responsibility to help shape the post-war order, including providing security to prevent a liberated Libya from sinking into chaos. After all, the pro-Gaddafi Libyan army and police are unlikely to provide it. Many of them could become insurgents, as did Saddam Hussein's forces in Iraq, nor are the rebels, who may well be more interested in revenge than stability. The responsibility for security, reconstruction, and nation building will likely fall to the United Nations, which would mean deploying a multinational peacekeeping force in Libya, including troops from the United States, NATO, and Arab nations. Washington must start planning and preparing for this complex and expensive contingency and muster the substantial political will required to see it through, while there is no guarantee that such a project will be any more efficient or effective than in Iraq or Afghanistan. Failing to plan for it would be disastrous. So far, we have chosen an instrument, airstrikes, that is powerful but cannot attain our humanitarian or strategic aims by itself. The charade is over. America has intervened in a civil war with the de facto aim of regime change in Libya. Washington must now accept that decision and face its consequences. So there you have it. So-called humanitarian intervention leading to direct colonialism, with the benevolent European powers having their white man's burden, Christian duty, democratic responsibility to provide good government for chaotic little natives after giving them arms to continue their uprising. And even though the project may not work any better than the current imperial fuck-ups in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're obligated to do it anyway. And to whom? Well, in reality, not the Libyans, whom we've instigated into continuing an uprising doomed without our intervention, but to our strategic interests and aims. And what are these strategic interests and aims? Protecting European oil reserves, of course, or rather the sources, but also removing an anti-Western dictator who was long a thorn in the Western anus, and replacing him with chosen leaders who will supply Libya with the stability necessary to guarantee these interests and aims. But at least Mr. Dubik is honest about it. Unlike those who covered their asses with the old cliche of humanitarian intervention, knowing it was a likely first step into taking over, and a necessary one, into succoring the American public, in particular into a third war of national liberation. I think Che Guevara must be running things in the Pentagon, needing to create 2, 3, many Vietnams, and you can't normalize relations with Cuba. Well, anyway, this was exactly what I suspected would be the end game in Libya. But Azov, you supported the rebels a couple weeks ago. Yes, and essentially I still do. And rebel goals for a democratic Libya will not be served by turning it into another U.S. NATO satellite. If you think that's such a hot idea, then tell me what was wrong with the Warsaw Pact again. All right. On to Syria and the usual hypocritical contradiction displayed here in the different attitude to the New York Times piece of Monday. Because in regards to Syria's bloody uprising, that same newspaper on Tuesday, April 25th, reports 25 unarmed demonstrators shot down in Daraa. Nearly 400 people have been killed in reprisals over the 5-week-long insurrection in Syria. And what has been the West's reaction? Airstrikes? Arming rebels? Special forces teams? Demands that President Bashar al-Assad, whatever Assad Jr.'s name is, step down to go into exile? Forget about it. You should know better. The United States called the violence completely deplorable. Tommy Victor, a national security spokesman, said the Obama administration was considering sanctions against Syrian officials to make clear that this behavior is unacceptable. At the United Nations, European and American officials circulated a draft Security Council statement condemning the crackdown and calling on the government to respect human rights and freedom of expression. The draft endorses a call by Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, released last Friday, urging an independent investigation into the mounting death toll. So why the discrepancy? Well, it should be obvious. Syria has a big army and air force can hurt you back. Not just natives with guns, but you. Well, that means the situation requires more careful analysis and cautious policy statements because it borders Israel and Turkey and is even a regional friend of Istanbul. And since the code word is stability, as Mr. Dubik told us, we just have to play along until the regime is too disorganized to effectively resist us. In the meantime, let's slip in special forces teams and democracy activists who can ramp it up to Libyan levels until we do finally have to intervene. Go away. That ironic remark is not my leftist endorsement of the al-Assad regime, not my cynical jumping to conclusions, but the clearly expressed view of military advisors to Western leaders like Mr. Dubik. All right already. What? Who? Saddam Hussein? What do you want? I'm too pissed for this shit. Do what? You and El Che are laughing your asses off at the Yankee imperialistas choking on their own big dicks as they fuck up the world? Well, say what you want about you two. At least you weren't Washington's